Morning, folks. It's Thursday, the 23rd of July. It is 18 months since I went into hospital with what turned out to be necrotizing fasciitis. I spent a good 3 months in hospital. I spent 3 weeks and 1 day in an induced coma. While I was in having my neck fasc sorted out, they did a scan and found a tumour on my right kidney, which I went and had removed in August. Everything you want to know about that in detail, if you go to my YouTube channel, where I upload these as well as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you go to my YouTube channel, there is a whole channel, there's a whole playlist of these. This is the 191st. If you go way back to January the 23rd of this year, there's a full explanation there of everything that happened. What I'm going to do today now is I ask people for questions. I've had a few, and I will now try my damnedest to go through them for you. So settle in, because this might end up being the longest one I've done. Enjoy. So Rob's asked, you had necrotizing fasciitis. What I can't understand is how you caught it. Was it from an open wound, or is it a bacteria that can be linked to a pre-existing condition? And was it all related to your kidney cancer? Well, first and foremost, not related to my kidney cancer. They have no idea where I got it from. Yes, I had an open wound. Everything started with a boil, which burst and didn't get better. I'd been in touch with the doctor, tried antibiotics, it didn't do anything. And that's when Vicky came home on the Thursday, the 23rd, and said, this isn't right, Simon, you need to go to hospital. Me being me, refused. Said, no, I'll go in morning, I'm right, I'll go in morning. Turns out that if I hadn't gone in on Thursday night, I wouldn't have woke up Friday morning. And that's, yeah. So yeah, I can't remember the exact phrase that Vicky said that the people in hospital used, but apparently you're really unfortunate if you get it, and you're really unlucky. I can't remember, but it's like, it is really, really rare. Apparently, it's not. It's like sepsis, but worse. And sepsis isn't that easy to get, but it is gettable. Necrotizing fasciitis is, it's like sepsis' evil brother. As I say, we can't understand how I caught it. Yes, I got an open wound, but I'd not been anywhere. There's tales of people stubbing the toe while they're up a mountain hiking, and then a few weeks later they've got neck fasc and they've ended up having the leg off, So in the grand scheme of things, I've got off lightly. But yeah, that's your answer to that. So Bammy asks, when I came up once, you were out of a coma, you burst into tears. Do I always have that effect on people? And also, will you cope with it being so flat here compared to Barnsley when you visit? I'll answer the second question first. It'll be a damn sight easier down there if it's flat, which it is. I know where you are and it is flat. So it'll be easier for me to perambulate on my sticks. and it'll also be easier for Optimus Prime to trundle along, because she'll not be wasting her batteries going up hills. As for when you came up, once I were out of my coma and I burst into tears, mate, I've never been so happy to see you. I normally burst into tears when I see you, but that's for other reasons, and I'm normally laughing my head off when you go. Yeah, you have that effect on folk, but trust me, the fact that I know, and I'd been told that you'd been up when I was in a coma, and you'd travelled as far as you had to come and see me, means the world to me. And I'm saying this to you directly. You're the brother I never had. I've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of friends that are more like family than actual friends. We've had us ups and downs like siblings do, and even after everything that we've had us ups and downs over, I still love you to bits, mates. So yes, there were tears of happiness when you came and saw me on ward after I'd come out of my coma. And yeah, you do have that effect on people, because people love you that much, mate. Simple as. Dave, King of the Mods, again a friend that's more like a brother than a friend, has asked, now that you sadly can't ride a scooter, is there any chance you could drive an automatic car? We got rid of Bertha, Bertha Tidville, the Fiat 500 that Vicky had, because the practicalities of getting in and out were tricky. There wasn't boot space to take my mobility scooter anyway. So we went and we had a look for a new car. We did consider getting a hybrid. We did consider getting a automatic, because Vicky had been driving her mum's on and off for a bit and liked the ease of an automatic, but she also, you know, the frugalness of a hybrid. I'm getting off track. We ended up getting a manual and a petrol manual. The possibility of me driving, I'm not saying it's in the realms of impossible. The problem I've got is I've still got a lack of feeling in my right foot, as well as no feeling in my left foot, and it's my hands as well, Dave. It hurts to grip anything. It hurts to, I'm not saying it wouldn't be possible, but from a personal safety and safety of everybody else at road point of view, I'm going to say possibly not. Possibly not, mate. Jim, my captain, he asks, it is, as you say, 18 months since the silliness. When did you first know something was amiss, and what are your plans for the future? I'm going to say it again, Jim. Oh man, my love for Jim is unmeasurable. He gave me my first punt DJing in front of an audience. He's pushed me, prodded me, and cajoled me into doing things I never thought were possible in relation to the stuff I've done and the places that I've stood behind decks, either at his side or by myself. So I'll go on public record. You know what I've said to you before, I wouldn't have done half of what I've done, or 9/10 of what I've done without you, Jim. And for that, and my brother, I love you to bits, and thank you. But when did we first know something was wrong? the boil burst. I've had boils before. I haven't had them since I got diagnosed with having diabetes, and then we're on my meds and everything. But I got this boil, come up like normal, it burst like normal, but then it wasn't going away. As I said, in answer to one of the other questions, we got some antibiotics from the GP, weren't touching it. You've got to remember, I started feeling poorly on around about 15th of January, flowy kind of conditions. Rang in work, and I spent the most of the time between the 15th and the 23rd in bed. I have a tendency to sleep myself well, but it weren't happening. And on the Thursday that Vicky come home, and I went into hospital, when Vicky come home and we're looking at it, she says there were all hard bits around where the boil had been. We later found out that was dead flesh, the necrotizing fasciitis, the bacteria, flesh-eating bacteria had already killed, so it were all dead, and that's why it was rock hard. So it were a slow run up, but it were basically a combination of me feeling like, pardon the pun, but death warmed up, and the situation around where the boil had been of the hard, lumpy. Vicky said it'll bruise to hell. So yeah, it was a slow run up, but when Vicky come home that Thursday, she knew there was something wrong. And you know Vicky, you don't say no to her. She knows best. She always has done, bless her. So yeah, she dragged me to hospital, and the rest's history. As for what are my plans for the future, not entirely sure still. I got told earlier this week, I got a letter saying that my benefits have been extended by, one lot of my benefits has been extended by another year, which take me up to 2029. So in one respect, that's one thing not to worry about, because my money situation, because of my benefits, I'm not doing too bad on that respect. But yeah, I've toyed with the idea of trying to find something to do. I'm thinking part-time on a voluntary basis. I've got a couple of avenues I want to investigate in that respect. I don't want to bugger my benefits, so I've worked since I'm 56 now. I've worked since I was 16, so for 39 years, let's say. I've worked and I've contributed to one thing or another. I've never claimed for it. No, it's not exactly true. I got incapacity benefit for 6 months when I knackered my ankle up, but then I went back to work, and they were sending me forms out every month that I had to fill in, and at the end I was just writing in Sharpie on front of them, still employed. And I had one lot of an unemployment benefit a few years ago, in between two jobs. So no plans as such. Vicky's very much of the thought that I need something so it keeps me mentally fit. But it's all a question of what I can do, where it is, how I get there, how I get home, etc., etc. But it is something that's been looked at. But again, with anything, yeah, watch this space, mate. Joe says, what's the cancer update, Simon? there is no cancer update at the moment. I'm due to go for a CT scan on the 1st of August as a follow-up to it all. It was the 14th of August last year, I think, that I had I had my tumour out, or my kidney out. As I say, as part of, they had to do a CT scan on my bowels, in that area, in regard to the necrotizing fasciitis, and that's when it showed up this mass on my kidney. And I didn't know until March, sorry. Excuse me, I didn't know till March that I got this mass. Vicky had known since end of January, beginning of February, while I was still in my coma. She decided it was better for me if she didn't tell me until they knew more, because, you know, obviously coming out of a coma with a tube in your throat and not being able to speak one thing and all that, I've got a lot to digest and process coming out of a coma without saying, oh, and by the way, we think you've got cancer as well. Which made it a bit of a shock, because I had the CT scan while I were under. They then did me another one at the beginning of March. And then the doctor came in. I think they did it on the Thursday or the Friday, and it was the Monday or something. The doctor doing his rounds at like just after 7 in the morning, come in, and he's like, "How are you? This, that, and that. Oh, by the way, it is kidney cancer. See you tomorrow," and walked out. And I'm sort of sat there like, hold on a minute, what? So I phoned Vicky in a bit of a state, and Vicky's like, I'll come up before I go to work. I'd calmed down before she got there. And when she got there, it's just like, right, we'll deal with it. Whatever they say, whatever the options, we'll deal with it. If they can sort something, we'll deal with it. If they can't sort something, we just get on with life until anything happens. I had a appointment with a consultant at the end of March. He told me the various possibilities. I then went through to Sheffield and spoke to them a bit later in the year. And they basically told me, well, Barnsley said, well, rubbish, because of the type of tumour it was. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that, they couldn't do other. They said that judging by the size of it, they probably had it about 7 years. And because of where it was on the sort of like fleshy bit of the kidney, well away from the tubing and everything, that's why I weren't showing any symptoms or, you know, having any issues. So they hooked it up. I went in on Thursday, I came home on the Sunday. I would have been pain for about a week, and since then, you know, there's times I completely forget that I've only got one kidney. Everything feels fine, I feel fine. I had some blood tests and everything when I came back off for holiday, which was scheduled anyway. And I had to have a blood test prior to my CT scan. It showed that my kidney function were a little bit low. We put that down to being slightly dehydrated, maybe while I've been on holiday, and probably not drinking enough liquid while on holiday. It seems fine now. It's at a level now where it's safe for me to have my scan. So yeah, I go for my scan on the 1st of August. And we'll find out after that. I mean, touch wood, everything's right, everything's hunky-dory. Again, if it's not, we deal with it, we get on with it. You know, it's one of them things. It's a setback. I've been through worse, and there's worse people out there who are a lot worse than me. So, yeah, we deal with it. Cheers, Joe. Now here's one. Christina says, how proud of yourself are you at how you've dealt with all this crap so amazingly this also especially applies to Vicky. Well, I asked Vicky last night, and Vicky's words were, "I'm not. You just get on with things, you know. You don't have time when it's happening. You don't have time to think about your actions. You just crack on with it and do what you've got to do." And in her words, "You're my husband. Of course I'm going to do it. I love you." As for me, it's a difficult question, Christina, because I dealt with it. All the nastiness, 9 visits to theatre, 3 close calls of not being here because of blood loss and one thing and another. Vicky dragging me to hospital on the Thursday night, not physically, but making sure I went to hospital on the Thursday tea time, night, evening, whatever. Meaning that I didn't wake up the next morning because they put me in a coma. Everything that happened, all the nastiness and the hard things to deal with, happened while I was in the coma. I've had to deal with my recovery, which, as difficult as it's been, it's been manageable. It's up here with me more than anything else. The whole cancer side of it and having my kidney out, I feel a bit of a fraud. I've said it numerous occasions. I feel a fraud about a lot of things because everything was relatively pain-free. From waking up out of my coma to coming home to, I have discomfort and everything in my legs and my hands, and I'm in pain with that, yeah. When they did me a plastic surgery to try and cover the hole, they took some skin off my right leg. That was the thing that hurt the most. Even like I say with my kidney, I got told in March that I've got cancer. By the middle of August, I'd had it out. So April, May, June, July, August, 5 months. I had cancer for 5 months. Alright, I might have had it for the 7 years previous, but I didn't know about that. There's folks that get told they've got cancer and have years and years and years of treatment and hardship and suffering and pain and discomfort and one thing and another. I had 5 months. And out of that 5 months, the only pain I had was the week after they took the kidney out, recovering from that surgery. So I feel a bit of a fraud. I'm proud of my, I'm proud of Vicky and everything that she did for the 93 days, I think it was, that I was in hospital. She missed 1 day. She thinks she missed 2. She didn't. She came up on the morning that I found out I'd got cancer and then went to see my dad that evening to tell him. So she didn't miss that day. She missed 1 day out of 93 of coming to visit me. While I was in hospital, and Mum were also in hospital at some of the time because she had COPD. I'm proud of Vicky for that. I cannot ever, and I won't ever be able to thank her enough for that. She knows I love her, but she went above and beyond. So I'm proud of her. I'm proud of Finn and Georgie for the support they gave to Vicky. That's my son and his partner. I'm proud of everybody. I'm proud of my sister. I'm proud of everybody that stood by and helped Vicky in helping me. I'm proud of every single member of the NHS that did the job to the best of their abilities. The surgeons, the consultants, the nurses, the tissue viability teams, the medical photography team, the ladies and gents that fetched me a brew and my breakfast, my dinner and my tea. You know, the people that came in the room and swept up and mopped up every day and had a conversation with me every day. I can't even begin to tell you when you're stuck in an hospital bed and you can't physically get out of it, just to have someone pop their head in and just, hey, Olivia, how are you doing today? While they're mopping the floor, it means the world. So yeah, I pride in myself. I'm proud that I keep carrying on and I ain't give up. Because even though technically I'm better, I'm still not well. My legs won't work. I can't walk without walking sticks. My hands, if I try and grip a pen to write, it's a painful struggle. I've a lot going on, but I'm prouder more of the people that were around me and supported me. On top of that pile is my wife, is Vicky, and she always will be. And there ain't a pedestal high enough for her in my eyes. So yeah, I'm proud of me. I'm proud of others, not me. But thank you for asking. Another one from Bammy. Did you have any dreams when you were in a coma? Yes. The first one I remember, I don't know where it was, but it was beachy, sandy, sand dunes, that kind of thing. Imagine Tunisia, I think it was, when the film Star Wars, that kind of landscape. And I was with some other folk, and we're barreling about in beach buggy type things, shooting high-powered assault rifles at folk and one thing and another. And it was like being in a computer game, like a physical representation of a video game, which is bizarre. I can't understand it. There was another one where I dreamt I was in a sealed knot sort of thing, like a reenactment thing at World War II, RAF, and we're drinking tea out of little blue teacups and saucers. I woke up from my coma with an absolute, I could have swum in a swimming pool of tea, but I couldn't have anything to eat or drink while I still had my tracheotomy in. So yeah, that were another one. I dreamt that Vicky was driving me about in a brand new Mini, and then I were in a bed, and in the corner of the bed was a white pyramid with a black top on it. Part of me thinks it was made out of Lego, I don't know. And I can remember in that dream asking Vicky, where am I? What am I doing here? I dreamt I'll tell one of the other dreams in a bit because it relates to a question I've been asked. I dreamt that, and it took me a good while to realise that this one weren't a dream, but I dreamt that I was begging and begging and begging the people that were looking after me on nights to go somewhere and get me a meal deal from Burger King, McDonald's, KFC, wherever, just so I could have the Pepsi Max. And I was promising them I will not swallow it, I will swish it down my mouth and spit it out. I promise I won't swallow it. And I'd nagged them that much continuously that they went out and got me one. And I realised afterwards that it was a dream because I couldn't talk. I'd got a tracheotomy and I couldn't talk. So that were a nonsense. But yeah, I did dream and they were vivid and they were weird, to say the least. The other one, I will get to that one in a bit. You'll understand why when I get to it. So yeah, I did dream. Another one from Jim. How's your recovery been since you were discharged? And what have you found you do differently since you got home? Slow and non-existent, I would say. I got released back end of May, April, beginning of May, and I had a 4-wheel stroller that I used to use. That got ditched for walking sticks, and I think I'm on my 4th different pair of walking sticks now, because I worn them out. It's what you get from buying them online. They want to send me home with some crutches, you know, them the loopy things at top and handle. I don't want to walk around with hospital crutches, so. But the stroller were good, so I had a seat on it, so I could go front room into the kitchen and sit on that while I'm making myself cups of tea and sandwiches. And it had a storage area under the seat, so I could wheel everything back in here. Cans of pop, not cups of tea. I won't put that in the spill, won't I? But the beginning of December, it will have been, I was due to have a appointment with a physiotherapy team. But that got cancelled because apparently it's been that long since my admittance to hospital and everything to December, so you're talking 11 months, that they quote unquote couldn't do anything for me now. So it was December where I was basically told, well, that's your lot. There is always a possibility, I've always been told this, there's a possibility that I might wake up one day and everything's gone back to normal, but it's unlikely. As a side to that, they're still not sure whether it was nerve damage, neurological, up to the way amount of edema I had, or the amount of anaesthetic I had that's caused all this numbness and one thing or another. But yeah, recovery's been slow. I'm getting stronger on my feet. Is there going to be a day when I can walk without my sticks? Never say never. I think there's more likelihood that I might get down to 1. Excuse me, at some point. But never say never. And again, if the worst that comes out of all of this is I've got a lifetime ahead of me of using walking sticks and my mobility scooter to get about on, then so be it. I'm still here. I wake up every morning. You know, there were a few occasions where that nearly didn't happen. So you've got to look. I've got to be a glass half full kind of person, because as soon as you start looking at negative side of things, that's when the darkness enters your head, and that's where you're on a slow, slippery slope down. As for the second part of your question, what have you found that you do differently since you got home? We sitting down, because I can't stand without my sticks. I can't stand without my sticks. So, yeah. What do I do differently? Use an handrail to go up and down steps. Panic if I'm out and the floor's uneven. I don't know. What do I do differently? I've adapted to life as it is now, and things that have to be done differently, to the extent that I probably don't even realise I'm doing it differently. But yeah, the most obvious one is we sitting down. She's quite comfortable, actually. I don't know why more people don't do it. More men. Obviously, the lady girls do it. Yeah. The next two I love. This one from Rob. On a scale of 1 to 11, how uncomfortable was the removal of the catheter from your todger? Never having it done and never hoping to have it done. I've got a mate here in Pattaya who said it was quite painful. I think quite painful could quite possibly be the understatement ever. Now, I had my catheter fitted in January. They're supposed to be in between 8 and 12 weeks, so 3 months. So that'd be April time, maybe. Mine came out the day before my birthday, on 22nd of May. It hurt. They put me on a flip floor. They took me off the bag pretty much after I came out of ICU in February and went up onto Ward 35. They put in what they call a flip floor, which it's a tube that attaches to the catheter bit that goes into the end of your todger, as Rob has it, and it's got a valve switch on it, so you can stick that into a bottle, a urine bottle thing, turn it on, fill it up, turn it off. You know, they put you on that to train you to get back into knowing when you want to wee and when you're done, because when you've got a pipe that's coming straight out of you into a bag, you ain't got that. It's like siphoning in a car. It's just free flowing until it's empty, and then it'll start flowing again when it fills up again. So they put you a catheter in or a flip flow in, so that you get used to going and needing the toilet again. Now the thing is, I'd got my open wound, I'd got my big wound, and I got a smaller one on the other side, and I was going in for a skin graft and blah blah blah, and they deemed it better to keep that area clear and clean, rather than risking me weeing myself and contaminating stuff, which I get, and it's fine. But it ended up being in about a month and a half longer than it should have been. It started to come out on its own accord. I mean, it come out about 2 inches or so of its own accord over a space of quite a many number of weeks. But when the district nurse come on to take it out, her words were, "Oh, that's welded in tight." Oh yeah, I swore my head off. She says, "If you need to swear, because I know it's gonna," and there's no easy way. I mean, they might lube. I weren't wet when they put it in, so they might lube it up when it goes up, and there's no way of lubing it when it comes out. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt. On the scale of 1 to 11, I'd say 20. It fucking hurt. There was no blood afterwards. There was no nastiness afterwards. So it come out clean. For the next day or so, it did sting a little bit. No, I'll tell a lie. For the next day or so, it stung a hell of a lot when I was having a wee. But he said that was going to happen. I did wear man nappies and pads for a while afterwards, just to be on the safe side. My problem was, even when I flip flowing, you see, because it had started to come out of its own accord, it weren't all the way in, and there were bits escaping. If I didn't get to the toilet quick enough, there were bits escaped around the tube and out. And when I'm downstairs, it was taking me longer to get upstairs than it does now. there were numerous times where either I only just made it or I didn't make it. I'm telling you, so much more than I really think I should be doing. But so yeah, in answer to that question, Rob, it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts a lot. It's not something I'd recommend. Really, no. So here we go, last one. I will prefix this next question by saying I've known Jace a long time. He used to be a manager at an old job I were in, and Jace has got a very dark sense of humour, just like me, and I would expect nothing else of a question from Jace than this one. Cheers, mate. Lots and lots of pooping questions. How did they go in? Did they go in and get it out? When did you have your first proper poo? Was it a bowl filler? And did it make you question your sexuality? First and foremost, how? While I was in a coma, and for the first few days of coming out of my coma, I had a pipe up my rectum. In so much as I had a catheter in the front end, I had a catheter in the back end, and it just flowed from me. This is why I said I'd tell you about a dream I had, because while I was in the coma, I had a very vivid dream that the bag was getting... In fact, it must have been after I come out of my coma, because I were aware that I'd got this bag on and that they were changing it. But I had a dream that they were changing it and selling it to power cars. They were using human excrement and manure and other such biological waste projects to drive the cars. And they were selling, the guy on the night shift was selling my bags of poo to drive to somebody so they could use it to power the car. So yeah. So in effect, yes, they did go in and get it by inserting something into my rear end. That was just as painful. Well, no, it weren't as painful coming out because it hadn't been in that long. And I would guess that there was probably a... Oh, God, this is so disgusting. There's probably some sort of natural lubricant in my bowel for it to come out easy. It didn't come out easy, but it come out, and it weren't nice. It weren't a pleasant experience. Did it make me question my sexuality? No, it made me certain of my sexuality that I have no objection. I'm happy that everybody that on this planet lives the life they want to live, as long as it's legal, consensual, etc., etc. It's a practice I don't think I could take part in after that. What else did you ask? When did you have your first proper poo? Probably the evening after the tube come out. Through the night I needed one, and I had to be lifted onto a bedpan, which was a practice that had to happen for quite a while until I was able to get out of bed with help from nurses, and then stand, shuffle and sit on the commode. Was it a bowl filler? I've had a couple of them. I've had a couple of bowl fillers. I had a few periods of diarrhea. I had a few periods of constipation. It was either one or the other. The worst period of constipation, I was sat on the toilet for a good half an hour, dripping in sweat. I had to pull the emergency cord. A nurse came. Oh, I'll go and get you some help. I'm like, well, why can't you help me? And by the time she got back, about 20 minutes later, I had done the process. And it hurt. And it hurt a lot. So, yeah, the medications and one thing and another combined, you're either loose or you're not loose. Yeah. Had to be you that asked about who, didn't it, Jace? Oh, God help us. Anyway, hope they answered your questions. So there you go, 3/4 of an hour, 45 minutes of questions and answers. If you've got any more that you want to ask, then again, feel free to ask me, folks. It's just, I thought I'd take advantage of it being 18 months of me being taken into hospital to do a question and answers. I'm glad there were some light-hearted ones. And that's it. As I say, if you want to go back to the 19th of January, YouTube/Barnsley Sam. I'll have a look and I'll put the number up here, what episode it is as well. Yeah, that's it for today. I think that'll do it, or it should do. I'll bid you farewell. Have a good day and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you all. TTFN.